Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tori and today I am working in my October daily album on story number 16. Yes, story number 16. So I did pull another material prompt for this story and I actually pulled out watercolor, which kind of surprised me. I honestly forgot that I had put this in my materials jar. So I'm going to pull out a piece of watercolor paper and trim that down to be 8.25 by 5 inches wide. And I'm going to make myself a little watercolor background. I am by no means an expert with watercolor, and I don't do it very often. Like, very, very rarely do I actually pull out the little bit of watercolors that I have and actually try to do something with them. But I do have this little set of watercolors that I purchased from Michael's. So I'm going to just kind of make somewhat of an abstract background. The first thing that I'm doing here is just getting the colors that I want to use wet so that I can let some of that water soak into them. And then I'm just going to kind of draw or paint a very large blob of color onto the back of my page. I'm going to do these in somewhat vertical lines running horizontally across my page, and I'm going to use the blue color, the reddish orange color, and the black color that I have. I also try to add a little bit of this gold color, but I end up doing that by accident when I accidentally stuck my paintbrush into that color instead of the one that I meant to, but instead of just cleaning my paintbrush, I just put it on my paper for reasons unknown to myself. But that's besides the point. So like I said, I'm just going to go across my page horizontally with these kind of vertical stripes. And I'm doing blue first, then the reddish orange, a black stripe, then I'll go back to the red orange and then end with blue. And so I don't give this much time to dry at all. I don't know much about watercolors, but I do know that it's very watery, so it does take some time to dry, and I am just a very impatient person just in general. So I do not give this nearly enough time to dry, but it ends up working out. When I was finished with this portion, I wasn't sure if I was actually going to like this at all. I was kind of not digging it. I did add these kind of more thinny stripes of a darker shade of whatever corresponding color these stripes were sitting on top of, and that helped. And then I will bring out some close to my heart stamps to add a little bit of splattering. All of my watercolors were still too wet for me to splatter on top of and actually have them create splatters. So instead of trying to do that, I just pulled out a splatter stamp that would give me an exact splatter shape, which ended up, I think, working out a little bit better than what I was trying to do. So this gold right here that I'm pulling up is what I was trying to splatter, and you'll see up at the top near the black, it just kind of removes the black because everything was still too wet for me to be doing that. And like I already said, I'm a little bit impatient, so it wasn't working for me. I do have a piece of the newest release from Tracy Reed Designs, the Bountiful Collection. I'm using this piece of printed paper on vellum. This is probably my favorite paper in the entire collection, so I'm just going to use that to back up my photo with, and I will leave all of the sides the same except for the side that is on the bottom, and I'm going to leave that a little bit longer, kind of so that it gives it more like a Polaroid look, even though this is not the shape of a Polaroid at all. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of tearing at the bottom of that as well. So I've brought out this close to my heart stamp. I think this might be the background elements stamp, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll link it below if it's still available. This might be one that's no longer in stock though, unfortunately. But like I said, if it's available, I will link that below for you. And then I'm going to use my archival black ink. The first thing I'm going to do is use the kind of edge or border stamp. And I'm going to stamp across the bottom and the top of this page and add a little bit of a border to that. Then I will move on to grabbing one of the larger splatter stamps and stamp that all over the background of where I'm planning to place my photo. And honestly, while I was stamping this, I felt like it looked a little bit excessive, but my photo is a little bit on the, it's a decent size, you know? So my photo is going to cover up a lot of this splatter stamping that I'm doing, and you won't be able to see hardly any of it. So it just looks like a lot before the photo's down. Now, while I am doing this stamping, I do have a question for you guys. Can you let me know down in the comments below what you are feeling about October daily still? Me personally, I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to be done and to start moving on to prepping my December daily album. So I was thinking that I would give myself like one more day, like one full day of just knocking these spreads out. So what my question for you is, would you want to see a very, very long October daily video of me just knocking out as many spreads as I can before I go basically off camera to film the rest of it and then maybe just film a flip through? Or would you not want to see that at all and just want to see December daily videos? Let me know down in the comments below what your opinion is on that and how you would like to see it. So essentially it's just going to be, would you want a really long video of me finishing up what I can, or to just move on to December daily? So I used the Stanley Alpha stamp from Carrie Bradford Studios, and I stamped out birthday, and I am then going to fussy cut that out. And as we get closer to the end of this video, I end up changing the titling of this just a little bit, because while we were celebrating my son's birthday because he is an October baby, we didn't do this lunch on his birthday. And that is the date that I wanted to put on this page because that's the date the photo was taken. So instead of just leaving it as birthday, because I didn't want to confuse myself and be like, but this wasn't done on his birthday, when I'm looking back on this in the future, I decided to add birthday lunch with family after I get everything kind of adhered down. That way it kind of makes a little bit more sense with the date that I will be adding, because the date that I'm adding is not my son's actual birthday. So I've got that fussy cut out. I had placed the watercolor background that I did underneath a couple of books to try and flatten it out some. But like I said, I'm impatient, so it's not entirely flat, and you'll see me bending the page quite a bit through the rest of this video because I want it to lay a little bit flatter than it's actually laying. I had also played around with using some of these bat sequins to lay around my page, and I'm going to scrap that and actually use these plastic stars from Studio Calico, from the Studio Calico Halloween kit from this year. And it's just black and white plastic stars. And I don't really use stars all that often, so I figured that if they looked decent on this page, since it's a lot of black and white as it is, with just a little bit of color in the background, then I was going to use as many as I could because I don't know when I'll be using stars again. So I decided to go with the stars, and I will pull out my tiny attacher and just staple these right down to the page, kind of randomly throughout, and then I will work on getting everything adhered down. But before I do that, actually, I will work on finding something to add a little bit of journaling to. So I've pulled out one of my little like photo holders, and that I keep all of my like tab and journaling type stickers in. So I'm going to pull out a couple of options that I think might work well with this spread. I do end up going with just these plain black like rectangle boxes that I'm putting out first. I also pull out this one because I really liked the shapes on this. But when I'm laying my photo down across them to see what I'm thinking, I realized that I don't really like how these shapes would conflict with the stars. It just seems like a little bit too drastic of a shape change. I think the squares with like the more 90-degree angles would work a little bit better with the stars. So that's what I end up going with. But I don't think that these little rectangles will leave me enough space to actually do journaling. So what I'm going to do is take out 2 of the rectangles, trim off one of the edges of one of them, and just stick those 2 together. And then now I've got like a nice longer rectangle that I can add a couple of sentences of journaling onto about the birthday lunch that we had. So I will tape that down to the back of my photo first, and then I'm going to actually put my photo down onto my spread. I will tuck some pieces of the photo underneath my stars just to have those pop out a little bit. And I will do the same thing with my birthday title, stick that underneath the black star at the top. When I actually do paste this down after I have the tape on it, I am very intentional about where I'm placing that point. I think I stick it right between the A and the D, kind of at that little indent. And I felt like that like kind of just edged up together really well. So that's where I ended up sticking that. And then I'm thinking that I should be done, but I decide after I put this date on here that that's where I don't want to have the birthday and then the date not matching. So I'm pulling out my block alphas from Amazon and just stamping down here lunch with family. And then I believe I find my number. Now the number that's actually pasted on or glued onto this page does not stay. I got my new album from Citrus Twist. I got a purple like lavendery album to put the rest of my October daily in. And when I was going through and actually adding these pages in, because I finished these before I got that album, I realized that the sticker that I chose, the number sticker that I chose to put on here, like does not match this page at all. I don't know what I was thinking when I actually put it on here, but once that watercolor fully dried and the color shifted to what the true color is, like it just doesn't match. So I pulled that off and I actually stuck one of these little circle numbers from Studio Calico on there to just have the 16 tucked right into that corner beneath where my journaling spot is and the photo. So I've got my holes punched now, and this is all I've got going on for this particular spread and this video today. If you made it to the end of this video, leave me a star emoji in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!